All right, welcome to the IMU Board of Trustees of the Electric, Water, and Communications Utilities, November 14th.
Board Member Selgrade, White, Smith,
Present.
Rosca,
Yes.
Hoyt.
Yes.
At this time, I'd entertain any public comment. If you'd please step forward to the podium and state your name and record or address for the record. No public comment. Moving on to consent agenda items, questions or discussion of the claims that were presented. Okay. How about the financial reports that Chris Longer shared? Chris, do you have any commentary that you want to share with them?
I don't have anything additional other than what's in the notes, but if anybody has questions.
I thought you did a nice job with them. It was, I think, helpful. I think some of the comments that have shared, Adam had made some suggestions that they seem to be very helpful to the understanding.
Good.
How about approval of the minutes from the last meeting?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye. We approve the whole consent agenda or just the minutes?
The whole consent agenda.
Okay.
Do you have anything? Moving on to the electric utility informational items. Mike?
Sure. Turbinate controls that sent out bids. We've started having the potential bidders. They have to come on site to review that. We've had two. We've got two more coming tomorrow. I don't anticipate many more after that at this point because of they've got a schedule of travel to get here or whatever for this time of year. But that's pretty good for the number of people that actually can come and do that type of work on those units. So.
Anticipate how many then?
If the two show up tomorrow, we've actually had four that showed up on site, at least to look at it. No guarantees that we'll get a bid out of them, but at least they're showing up.
Are they people that we've worked with in the past?
Yeah, the one that we did, the one before is coming tomorrow. The voltage regulator that we were talking about with East Iowa, that was replaced last week. Seems to be working as it should. And then you remember the breaker issue in East Iowa, we are now sending in another one of those as part of our maintenance program. That'll be going in. So we'll lose a little bit of our ability to tie the two together, but this is the perfect time of year to be sending that in. Take about 12 weeks to get that back. Been working on budgets, and then we put up the wreaths up on the square and on the highway next Monday.
This is the season.
It is the season. Might have a little snow to go with it. We'll see. That's all I have.
Other questions for Mike? Water utility, Lou?
Yeah, we had a meeting yesterday on the West Boston project. Actually, excuse me, that was today. Yesterday was Sunday. No one showed up. I was on there. We're going to have the walkthrough later. They're trying to figure out a warm enough day to pour concrete. All the water and storm and wastewater is done, but we'll have just a final walkthrough when everything gets completed. We'll have a meeting tomorrow on the streetscape. They were going to do the east side alley here directly east, and now that's been changed. We'll find out tomorrow whether they're going to go on the south side alley, south side of the square alley. I'm not thinking they're going to do it just because the weather way it's looking and stuff. The sewer pipe bursting that they were hoping to do to make their job quicker for the streetscape project isn't going to work. So it's going to be an open cut, and there's going to be a lot of utilities in the way. So it's going to be a slower type process. So that'll be pushed back. I'm anticipating we'll find out tomorrow for sure, but till next spring.
The streetscape is now, that meeting's canceled. They're done for the season.
They have canceled.
It come out later this afternoon, that email yet. They're
Okay.
done working on it for this year.
Okay, well, as of last week, they didn't know they had to go higher ups, and I was just anticipating, nah, I don't think so, just because of all the things in the way.
Planning will continue then after
Next
this.
spring, when we get closer, but from the email that we received that construction wise will be done for this season.
Probably whenever they say whenever the weather breaks. is when we'll get back to that. And then out goes south side of the square in the alley, west side of the square in the alley, north side of the square in the alley, and then on the east side.
So what
4
made
hours.
them change their mind that they weren't starting with the east?
East side, that without having that sewer pipe bursting, and there's a few other things that could be coming down, they decided to go on the south side. So, like I say, I didn't get that email, but that's fine. And when, like Mike said, working budget, we pumped out hydrants that don't drain back today. We winterized wells, got the snowplow on, so ready for it.
Lou,
If you're ready for it, it won't happen.
when you say pipe bursting, what does that mean?
Well, what they wanted to do is come through with a sleeve inside the sewer main and dig up just where the taps are, where the sewer service taps into the main, and shove and pipe burst, and then the sewer main breaks up. And they don't have to dig the whole alleyway up. They just have to do where the taps are. And they spot dig them, small hole, and then pipe burst, and then drill and cut their hole.
And that
put the
didn't
taps
work
in.
or is not going to work?
It's not going to work. I guess the sewer main goes something like this. It's old, you know, and they're just kind of hoping. But that could change next, see what, you know, they had a hard time getting bids too on that. You know, everybody's so busy, you know, and to get that, it's kind of like, why don't we try pipe bursting? Didn't get a lot of bids because everybody's busy. That's all I have.
Thank you. Communications utility action items. We have a resolution to approve the construction contract and bond for the construction of the Pella Fiber Transport Network west to IMU project. This is repealing the resolution that we approved last time because of some inaccuracies in the contract. So those have been corrected from my, I understand. And so tonight's approval would be the correction to the contract.
And the correction was that it said Pella had approved it, but they really hadn't. I assume now Pella has approved it. Correct.
But when I look at the document that we have, I do not see Pella's signature on
They're
it.
actually gonna approve it tomorrow night, so, yeah.
It's not approved.
I think the wording actually was that Pella had the contract and bond in hand, and that wasn't true until last week, so. So to get everything in the right order, they simply asked us to come back and do that again. So Pella has received the contract, has received the bond. You all will have a chance to approve it tonight, and then assuming we go forward, Pella will approve it tomorrow night, and we'll all be in good shape, so.
They want our approval first before they.
Yeah, that's what they requested, yeah.
So if there are no more questions, I need a first and second motion on the resolution approving the construction contract and bond for the construction of the Pella Fiber Transport Network west to IMU project.
Motion to approve. Second.
Jackie, would you take roll call, please?
Board Member Smith? Braska?
Yes.
Voight?
Yes.
Resolution is approved. Communication utility items.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same as Mike and Lou. Been working on budgets, with the weather turning. We've been trying to get as much outside plant stuff done as we can in advance, so. Still have drops going in, but, if that weather kind of holds like it is, we may be shut down a little bit early this year, but we'll see what happens after Thanksgiving, if it warms back up or not, so. But other than that, yeah, just, business as usual, so.
Combined electric, water, and communication action items.
Yeah, before you is a resolution naming depositories. This is kind of somewhat of a informality. Try to do this every year to reaffirm our current vendors. So for you is that list. I think you'll notice if you add those up, there's certainly a lot more than we have, but what we give ourselves is the ability to fully move all of our funds into one of our two main accounts, either the Bankers Trust Investment or to our True Bank cash account. So that's why those are too high. And just as a matter of practice, the other institutes are the rest of the banking institutes in town. While we don't necessarily have an account with those accounts, we do have $1 million worth of authority with each one. So if something does come up, we have local banking options. You ever do like short-term CDs with those other banks, or is it really just a just-in-case situation? It is just in case. I think the intent is we could do CDs, given our current structure. It's not, not probable or not likely. We do have a pretty generous sweep rate on trust accounts, so
What do we get on that, Chris?
it is.
Not to pin you down.
Chris, what is that?
It changes every day. doesn't
Yeah,
it?
today it was 3.4%.
That probably used to be 10 or 15 basis points only.
For short-term cash, yeah, I mean, it wasn't that long ago. That was what we expected, but doing well now. And so ultimately, this is just kind of a formality. You guys know where we're banking. We don't have any RFPs out, so it's not likely to change in the near future.
Even should we do this pretty regularly? I don't think we did this in 21, so I don't know how
We
often.
did it about every year, don't we?
I know we have in the past. It does seem like it's been a while.
Yeah, we didn't do it last year, and previously it was a resolution affirming, the council did the action, and we just affirmed the council's action. This is the first time in a few years we've done a standalone.
Yeah, there's no timeline on this, is there?
Yeah, it is until it's changed or until it's updated.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
You take roll call, please.
Board Member Voigt,
Yes.
Smith? Yes. Raska?
Yes.
Resolution's approved. And then we have combined electric, water, and communications informational items.
Yeah, like I think everyone mentioned, we're deep into our budgets. I think our CIP plans are in shape, are getting into good shape. Chris, maybe you got a few words, what we've done so far and what the future holds.
Yeah, each department, they've submitted their CIP drafts, capital improvement plan drafts. We've been meeting on those and kind of tweaking those. We plan to bring those to the board on December 12th. And then just for kind of looking down the line a little bit with the holidays and everything, we plan to bring a draft of our O&M budget, which will include the CIP items as well, on January 9th. And we've talked about having just kind of an overview and a brief discussion during that meeting, and then maybe a study session following that meeting on January 9th for anybody who would wish to stay and kind of delve deeper into those, and kind of for newer board members, for their benefit, to kind of get a feel for how we put that together and how it's structured. And if they have questions, we can delve a little deeper into it during our study session.
That'll be great.
And then, of course, we'll have to set public hearing dates for that, which we have on the agenda for January 23rd. And then to hold the public hearing and adopt the budget would be on February 27th. There isn't a meeting on February 13th, but we've kind of just left that to kind of finalize any updates we would need to make to the overall budget, so.
Questions for Chris on that? Thanks for getting those things lined up too. Any other items for discussion?
Just so, thank everyone for their hard work. I think the budget's come along quite nicely, and I'm happy with where we're at. I am heading to board meetings on Wednesday and Thursday. So this week's focus is really on electric, and I think we've talked about it in some way, shape, or form in the past, but just kind of wrap up 3 items that are really what we're looking at and worthy of consideration: rate pressures for electric in particular. One remains transmission costs. There's a lot of investment in that transmission related items. So we are expecting to see, they have been increasing, expecting that trend to increase. However, just a reminder, we've done a couple of things, or the board's had a couple of actions that are kind of should mitigate that, the effects. And one is a couple of meetings ago, we affirmed the reinvestment of the earnings in the CMPPA distribution group that we own. It goes north and south in Iowa. That should, increase those earnings and offset any of those out-of-pocket costs that we have for energy transmission, as well as our solar contract. The solar that gets produced on-site won't hit the transmission system, and so we won't have to pay for that. So both of those should be good mitigations to those transmission costs. Construction costs, I think everyone's aware those remain high. But we are taking the undergrounding projects and a lot of the electrical infrastructure projects in-house. While the physical items, the wires, the conduits remain elevated, we're taking a lot of that bite of the labor out of it. So what we're left with there is, a third of the cost of that project is still gonna remain high. Transformers still long lead time, still long costs, doubling and 250% increases over the past couple of years. Don't see those reverting or becoming available and plentiful anytime soon. The third, probably most pressing, I think we'll get a lot of the information on Wednesday and Thursday. Natural gas prices remain volatile, they remain high. But Mean as a group is not a highly reliant on natural gas. They do have a lot of diverse portfolio. The natural gas production is about 12% of the portfolio. And so while it's not good with any of those input costs going up that high, we're certainly not as reliant upon everyone. So I think that's kind of worthy to consider that our diverse production is going to help us through the winter. Can't say it won't be affected, but definitely not going to see the increases that a lot of people that are very reliant on natural gas are going to see.
So refresh my memory, we would anticipate that the solar project would actually start moving some dirt when?
It'll be first springtime, early
I knew it probably
springtime.
wouldn't till spring, but we are optimistic that that'll happen in spring.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they'll have the first sections. I don't know if we'll be producing power, but there's a possibility, in May and June time, we'll have some of that beta power sections available if that works out.
I just think somewhere along the line, we should have some kind of a ceremony, even a ribbon cutting or something to try to
That's a good
get
idea.
a little PR out of that and
Yeah, we're certainly looking at that.
Worm Day.
Ideally, yes.
So they've ordered equipment.
Yeah, they're in that process of ordering. We don't have our final plans and legal description. That still remains to be kind of a pickup, but I think Lou said they were out there with some pretty high-end equipment doing some measuring and distancing and imaging. So hopefully we'll get those finalized plans in production and be able to kind of bless it overall.
They had a drone down there taking the pictures with a $250,000 camera.
Wow.
They pulled in, jumped over the curb. Like, holy smokes, boys. I knew they were coming. They took, it was everywhere. They got the lay of the land there.
Any other discussion or questions? I had thrown out just a discussion topic around IMU and being prepared to help with some new business coming to town. We talked with Chris on Friday and thought that might be better for one of our strategy conversations coming up. So I will defer that to that time. It really was a think forward kind of question. So we'll try to cue that up. And then we did talk with Chris about staging a strategy conversation in the summer timeframe to review and update our strategy plan with anything that might need to be. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, so to that end, if you got any feedback, locations, same, different suggestions. please bring
What are you
those forward.
talking about?
We did our strategy session in October of 21,
Okay.
and we've been doing our update to our plan. So we thought it would be good next year just to take a little bit of an offsite with everybody, review the plan, see if there's any adjustments that need to be made, give everybody a chance to do their update on it.
Oh, I thought you were talking about some business coming to town or something, or.
Well, I threw out a question, I don't know if you saw it in your email, last week about, I had heard,
I still don't get email.
we don't get email.
I gotta fix mine.
Well, I had just heard that one of the concerns was IMU was maybe a roadblock to new business coming to town. And so I was just curious if people
You
had,
heard that from whom?
can't really share that publicly. But one of the questions I had was, if that's true, what do we need to do on a go-forward basis? How do we think about positioning ourselves? Maybe it's some of the marketing we've talked about. How do we start to get into those conversations? If there are RFPs that are being presented, do we become part of that conversation? I was actually, in my mind, thinking about that industrial park that's starting to kind of take flight over on or off of, Hillcrest on 14th Street in that area. Just thinking there may be new business coming in. So how did we see ourselves getting involved with that? So again, it was a think forward kind of a conversation, and that was really where I was coming from. Anything else top of mind for people?
Chris, can you give update on audit? What's the status of the
We're
audit?
still targeting our next meeting, November 28th, for Robert to come and give that presentation. So
Well, have they finalized and given you a draft, or is that still coming yet?
that's still coming. I'll check back with him this week and see where we're at with that. So but we haven't heard differently, but he was pretty confident that the 28th would.
Right. With that, then I would take a first and second motion to adjourn.
We'll move.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving.